Alrighty, legends. Well, I think we can get started then. If more join, then so be it. Basically, to start things off, I'll take a look at the Bitcoin charts with mainly the MDX ALGO 3 and the Oscillator 5 indicators. If any of you guys have any questions about the indicators, I'll do my best to answer them. I don't always have the answers, but I've been using it for a while now, so I think I understand most of it. After that, I'll take some altcoin requests if you guys just want to look at some random charts and that sort of thing. One last thing, if you do have any questions and you don't have a mic, you should be able to type in the indicators live voice chat as well now. And that being said, if you do have a mic and you are doing anything with a lot of background noise, please do us all a favor and mute your mic, unless you're speaking, of course. I know a lot of people are getting feedback the one video, so if you notice anyone specifically that's causing you issues, you may just need to manually mute that person. But other than that, welcome guys. I'm glad you were all able to come hang out and talk crypto. As you guys would know, I always complain that I don't have enough friends in the crypto game to talk to, so I like coming and doing these and seeing what your guys' thoughts on the markets are. It's great. So, but yeah, basically what I'm looking at, Bitcoin obviously showing some weakness. But that being said, I don't think it's as weak as a lot of people are kind of talking about. Just because you guys know that I've been pointing out this little bit of a support box for quite some time now, and I was looking at this double bottom zone. The indicator lined up beautifully with that, calling a potential bottom on the ALGO 3 and as well on the Oscillator 5, lining up with my bullish divergence on the, what was it? I think it was on the daily chart. I did have one. Yeah, going from back here basically up. So a lot of confluence going on in this range. And now, I mean, we did get this short signal on the ALGO 3, which I'm not too thrilled about. But that being said, you guys, you have to remember that it is giving the short signal right into support. So although, yes, it could play out beautifully because we are showing that weakness. I mean, if we end up dropping this support, I think it's absolutely possible Bitcoin just ends up dumping off a cliff, basically. That could be a very nice, juicy short, obviously. But I'm a little cautious sometimes when indicators aren't really lining up with my technicals. It is still just an indicator, so I like it to match up with a lot of my own theories on the market. We are still seeing quite a bullish divergence on the RSI with this little double bottom we have playing out right here. So like I said, yes, it's showing weakness, but I don't know. I'm personally not in too much of a panic. I mean, even if we do dump, I'm really hoping this just ends up being some sort of a fake out. And if we get kind of a bear trap, basically if the bears don't pull the trigger as we dump through this support, then I would be kind of leaning even extra bullish, just thinking like, that's a recipe for disaster that the price could absolutely just melt. So the fact is basically right now, yes, the bulls are looking weak, but the bears aren't exactly pulling the trigger yet either. So we're kind of at just a very dangerous trading ground, obviously very choppy lately. But yeah, I don't mind that I do see these bottoms. Here, let me just extend this here. The potential bottoms lining up on these indicators I really like. And the fact we did have this little bullish divergence back here. I mean, there's just some divergences that are starting to play out in the charts and lining up with this indicator that I'm really liking. Probably my favorite one that I just noticed yesterday. I don't know if any of you guys watched my video last night, but this weekly chart, something that I really like is, yes, once again, we haven't got a long signal yet. But the fact that this indicator, the ALGO 3, was calling for take profits basically right at the bottom of where we've bottomed out and are actually trading right now. So that could just be an early warning sign from the indicator as well. We now actually, just a couple weeks ago, we got this bullish divergence on the weekly. And I don't want to take that too lightly, because even if it's just a relief rally and, we come back crashing down, I just think that there's potential for a decent bullish scenario to play out. I mean, you guys know that I mean, this previous market cycle all-time high, we love to see resistance flip into support. And I mean, we don't get much more of an important resistance level as a market cycle all-time high. And we did have that bit of consolidation here for about a month or so. Just an important level in the market, in my opinion. And the fact that we're getting these early warning signs, again, yes, it's not a long signal, but it's telling you to be cautious of the shorting side. And I would rather not really short into support. So I'm just going to sit that one out if we do end up dumping a little bit. If anything, I'll look for some sort of a retest and start looking for structure on a smaller time frame and getting into a short that way. But I'm not really willing to play a momentum short at this time, just for a whole bunch of reasons, basically. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you guys think that we're gonna absolutely dump off a cliff? Are you guys leaning more bullish? And here, I'll just hop over the 4 hour. There was some pretty good calls on the 4 hour with the ALGO 3 actually that I noticed. Obviously this is hindsight and everything, but you can see that the indicator was really calling for this little bit of a drop here. We had, again, those divergences can be very powerful with this indicator. So we had this bearish divergence, which did call it a little bit early. And that was lining up with a hidden bearish divergence on the oscillator 5. So that was a beautiful call by that, in my opinion anyways. Obviously got this beautiful long call. And that was lining up with this green box, which you guys know, that was my daily double bottom zone with all those other bullish divergences. So just to see the 4 hour long signal come in there, that's one of those times, you guys, where I say it lined up with my own analysis. I was already in a trade, but this absolutely made me hold that long for much longer to the upside there. I would have closed it quite a bit sooner had I not had some of these indicators just lining up, telling me that no, in fact, there was room to go. And the fact that it was a daily pattern I was looking at, I was kind of ready for it to just run a little longer. But that being said, these indicators did call the top here pretty good as well. I mean, yes, we did have this bullish divergence, and you can see that it did even get us a decent little move to the upside, because this is a 4 hour, that's a decent little move. But then we got that bearish divergence coming in, and again, with just a bearish divergence on the oscillator 5 lining up with that in overbought territory there. Just a lot of confluence to go with that. So, I mean, this dump, it actually did catch me off guard a little bit, but I should have been looking at this chart because these indicators did a hell of a job just trying to warn us about that dump that was coming here. But yeah, like I said, I don't personally know how to feel about the market right now. Both sides are showing weakness. I don't like the fact that we're even dropping back into my green box here. I was kind of hoping to just see us bounce off the top of it more so. I actually just did some spot buying right before making this video because these are levels. You know what? There is a chance this is support and we're going to take off from here. I don't mind having a spot position because you know what, guys? If it does drop to 14,000 or 10,000 or whatever, it's an even better time to spot buy. I mean, generally speaking, if crypto's down 75%, it's almost always a good opportunity to load up for the next run. So even if we get that full 85% correction that we usually get with bear markets, I just think these levels are great to be accumulating. And if you guys did watch my video yesterday, I had kind of pointed that out, that Bitcoin loves to basically get these bear market support zones with my red boxes here. And we get our one final capitulation, and then we get an accumulation zone. If you look at our previous bear market here, obviously the infamous descending triangle, we got our final capitulation and then some sideways accumulation. What do we have here? We have our bear market support level here, got our final capitulation. That might be premature to say, but I'm going to say it here. Knock on wood. But now we have that sideways accumulation zone. And as well, I had pointed out these just key things to point out in the RSI here would be anytime the weekly RSI got into oversold territory, that's where we marked an exact market bottom. If you go back to this bear market, obviously same thing, hit that oversold, boom, that is a bear market bottom. Even all the way back here, You can see that's exactly where it found bottom again. But then I also noticed this other pattern, which I mapped out rather than the green dotted line here. I got the purple dotted line. The RSI also formed a bit of a downtrend that it broke out from. And it was just, sometimes the RSI is a leading indicator. And this was one of those times where, you know, it breaks out and then it kind of holds that level as support. And that's just an early warning shot that we're about to kind of start breaking out of this price range. We got the same thing here in our previous bear market, broke that downward sloping trend line. That was just a little bit early before the price did the same thing. And we just did that a couple weeks ago. If we look at this market cycle here, we got kind of the same thing going on with the RSI, and we did break above it. So I'm curious to see how this plays out. To me, it seems like a bit of an early warning shot that, you know, we might be getting ready to kind of reclaim some of these levels. And just kind of going back and marking out what I've been looking at. I mean, as soon as we reclaim that failed support from the bear market, that's where the bull run really takes off and grows legs. So that's just kind of something I'm watching now. I don't think we're just going to absolutely skyrocket right now. Even if we have bottomed, I think there's room for a lot of chop. But I think when we reclaim kind of that 32,000, I think that's where we can start thinking about another parabolic run coming in, basically. So yeah, obviously early to claim any of that, but yeah. So, and this is the weekly chart. We still do technically have on the ALGO 3 here, we do still have the short signal with this resistance up ahead, the moving average of this indicator, so that, you know, I can't take that too lightly either, especially the fact that it is lining up with horizontal resistance. I mean, even if Bitcoin has bottomed, if I'm right here, I mean, it's hard to say, you guys. Either way, Bitcoin just has a ton of resistance up ahead. There's no other way to say it. There's so many levels where it could get stopped out before getting sent lower, or just kind of back down to this level and really just, you know, trade sideways for a year or two. Like, who knows what's going to happen? I personally don't think it'll be that long. I think more like maybe 4 to 6 months, but that's just a total guess. I have no logic behind that, basically, other than the fact that we're kind of getting close to this downward sloping trend line. And also just going to Bitcoin here. I'm just going to turn this indicator off for a second. This downward sloping trend line now has 3 rejection points. And I always want to see a trend line before considering a proper breakout. I always want to see 3 rejection points before that. So the fact is, this shouldn't have been all too surprising, because it's obviously a very strong resistance line going down all the way from our 69K top. So the fact that we're not getting rejected too hard as well is, it's a nice thing to see there. So when I see, you know, this important support level starting to get confirmations with the indicator, I mean, so this is on the daily. Yes, we do have that short signal again going into support, but I do like that we're starting to see more green. I don't like that these long signals have gotten lower. They basically set a lower low the way I'm looking at it, as well as these short signals are getting lower. So they are showing that there could be a bit of momentum to the downside there. But I am liking that we're starting to see a lot of green, even though these were a little premature. You know what? It's just some green starting to show. Obviously, Bitcoin's in a very strong downtrend. There's no denying that. But yeah, these indicators are starting to show a lot of green, in my opinion. And we're getting, you know, it's pulled back a very, very large amount over the last, year or so. Eventually, it's most likely going to go back up. And I think we're starting to target some pretty important levels. So we're going to have to watch how that happens here. Let me know if you guys agree with anything I'm saying, disagree with anything I'm saying. One thing, obviously a hot topic, you guys, has been the DXY. One thing that I do like is, you guys know I won't shut the hell up about the 786 fib, and if we take this swing high to low, that is where the DXY is starting to kind of come into a little bit of resistance. It's not just absolutely blasting through. That being said, it's obviously not getting rejected too hard either. So we're going to have to see what happens there. I think basically if it holds this uptrend line, I mean, the DXY could absolutely just keep going parabolic. And if that happens, I think crypto's in a very bad spot, obviously. But if we end up starting to see just losing some momentum, DXY ends up flipping this support into resistance, I think then crypto's going to be in for a very juicy time to the upside. Let's see what the indicators are saying. The DXY, and this is a weekly chart, you guys. So, I mean, this is something to consider. Yes, it's flashing a lot of take profits on the DXY, but it still does have this upward sloping support here. So, I mean, that's just a very strong uptrend. There's no denying that. You can see that the oscillator 5 is starting to show some bearish divergences. And it's obviously way overbought. But I mean, that could just mean that there's a shit ton of buying pressure. Really, when it's in a strong uptrend and we have things like the RSI way up and overbought conditions, it's actually just a shit ton of pressure. So I mean, we're gonna have to see if that'll actually, pause it or try and hold it back a little bit there.
Hey Stu, can you hear me? I got a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Hey, can you go back to Bitcoin, please, on the 4-hour?
Absolutely.
On the oscillator 5, on the money flow, it looks like it's due for a if you weighted it or expanded it a little bit. How much weight do you put on like money flow crossovers?
Would that be this right here? Honestly, yeah, I've never actually considered that with this indicator. My analysis, I like to go by divergences.
Okay, I'm the same way. I haven't really incorporated that heavily into the analysis yet.
Yeah. I mean, chances are it's there for a reason, right? But I just personally haven't even really considered it. I just like to keep my analysis simple, so I look for very, I guess, just things I've been used to trading with, kind of the last few years. But that's a good question. I'm curious. Does anybody here actually look at that much, or?
I've been looking for consistent patterns with it, and I haven't really been able to key in on any. The fact that it's crossed over here just recently is. At least on my chart, it has. It doesn't look that way on your chart. Are you on the 4-hour?
I am on the 4-hour. Yeah.
Huh. Oh.
Interesting.
Let me get to
it's probably just.
I'm not on the 4-hour. I'm sorry. I'm not on the 4-hour.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. No. We're the same.
Okay.
And then, if you don't mind, could you throw up the oscillator 4? I got a question over there.
Yeah, sure. I actually. Where do we go?
TDI. Okay. Yeah. If you were to expand that a smidge, when the channel closes like that, I mean, do you incorporate? It's so low. I mean, it's down to like 38.40, and then with the contracting channel, I mean, it may happen a day from now, but I'm looking for hopefully a breakout of that. Usually big moves happen after that channel constriction. Do you analyze that the same way, or do you key in on that channel constriction?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm looking at it right for sure or not, but I kind of take that into consideration that there's very possibly
your green and red upper and lower bands. It was super wide, and now it's super narrow.
Yeah, like up here it was real wide, and down here it's kind of coiling up. I look at that, and I could be wrong. I don't know if anyone can correct me on this, but it seems to me like it's very similar to the price coiling up. Like it's just kind of coiling up, getting ready for a big move.
Yeah, I think of it as the same way. It's
But
coiling up, getting, tension is building, and since it's already so low, I mean, my bias would be that it would have a move to the upside.
yeah, especially we start seeing these bullish indications on the chart. We've been having some bullish divergences, even though yes, we did dump after that. We're just starting to see those bullish indications come into play again. And like you said, since it was, well, yeah, it's oversold here. There's yeah, not really much other to say about that. So I think it does make sense that we would start to see a bit of recovery. So yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with this. I'd be interested if all of a sudden this is just gonna basically, as soon as the price starts going, I mean, I think as soon as it starts getting any momentum, I think we're gonna see this blow up. So yeah, in my opinion, I would say that, kind of like the price, just the tighter it gets coiled up and longer it builds, it's just kind of going to be an indication that it's going to be a bigger move.
Yeah, there's just yeah, I'm thinking the same, and I, maybe it plays out over the next couple days or so, but there's a lot of short, a lot of people and a lot of money on the sidelines. So
Yeah,
I think if this gets any kind of upward momentum, I think it may be just very fast.
yeah, let's just something caught my eye here. Check that out.
Oh yeah.
Um, the one thing I don't want to give this too much credit right now. Just because I'm going to consider this, one touch point, two touch points. I mean, yeah, this wick touched it a third time, so maybe we have a valid trend line. It's sloppy at best, but it is interesting to see how well the price is just really flipping that resistance into support. Also, check out the RSI. We're getting quite a bullish divergence considering we're almost trading at the same levels. Obviously, this can change yet because we do have to drop a little for that. Um, but yeah, this is an interesting little development here. The fact that we're holding this resistance as support and we're getting right back down into my green support box. I think, once again, guys, I don't think Bitcoin's in that bad of a position right now. I think a lot of people are quick to jump the gun and say that we're bearish and we are just dumping through this support now. Obviously, my opinion could change very quickly because if we flip that support into resistance in the next couple days or weeks or whatever, I mean, it could get very violent to the downside. But
Oh,
I'm liking what
absolutely.
I'm seeing right here, to be honest.
That would be. I think I have nearly the same your green support resistance band. I think I have nearly the same one on there. That would be quite the if price kind of dipped down and tickled the bottom of your band.
Like down
Um,
here.
yeah, down there. I think that could set up like some monster divergences over the
Abs-
next day or so
oh, absolutely.
on 4 hour time frame. That would just where is something I'm keying in on too, because I got a bunch of harmonics that take me down like I can't see exactly what your price is at the bottom of the band, but I'm sure ours, I'm sure mine is the same.
Just over 17K, basically.
Yeah, I got it at 17.6 to 17.4 at the bottom there, but um, so maybe mine's a little bit higher. But yeah, man, that could potentially make additional divergences on large time frames, and those things are monsters.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes.
And actually, I think before making this video, I actually had my box probably right where you did, somewhere with this low back here, anyways.
Yeah, yeah.
The
It's
reason I dropped it a little bit is because of looking at this massive resist support flip on the whole macro scale here, and just kind of lining up with this little bit of consolidation back here. But more importantly, I dropped it to match up with the 786 on a macro scale. That's pulled all the way from our last bear, yeah, the bottom of our last bear market up to our bull market high.
yeah. I was looking at that
I
too.
fucking love the 786 Fibonacci lines, so I wanted to just pull my support down to there. And that way I'm also going to say, you know what, a lot of people, let's say I go back to my 4 hour here, a lot of people have their, degenerates and people who are scared of stop losses being proper and stuff. Like, a lot of people probably basically right to the dollar below this are going to be getting stopped out and possibly faked out. Whereas if I drop it to the 786, I think there's just a little wiggle room for, I guess, just a little more of a fake out.
Yeah, no, I agree. This would really, if you look back at that previous all-time high again, it would really suck if we just kind of range right where we're at for, like, until the next halving or whatever.
And I wouldn't be too shocked. Like,
I wouldn't be too shocked either. I'm almost expecting it.
That's kind of one thing to consider, is I'm not so sure we will get any sort of crazy bull run before the next halving at this point. I think the time's kind of run out. But
plus the global news is just so shitty. I mean, who's throwing, who's going to run up any stocks, let alone Bitcoin to 40,000 again, when everybody just wants to park their money in dollars, it seems like, at the moment.
Well, and something to watch out for. Let's say the DXY takes a big hit, because, like I said, it is technically at that 786 resistance. I'm going to at least consider that it could get rejected. And let's say so that it takes a dive and crypto ends up actually getting a pump here. As I mentioned, I think if we reclaim my blue box here, that it'll be in a very good position to start the next bull market. But something to consider is I think there's going to be a real harsh pullback right in this area. And for one, just obviously that lower high structure, just obviously there is some resistance here. But as well, again, I just love Fibonacci's. So if I pull this looking for resistance, you can see that the 618 actually lines up perfectly with that structure. And if we go back to every bear market here, you can see.
You're pulling those. I was literally pulling those earlier today.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, showing somebody, like, because they were freaking out.
Yeah,
and I was like, don't freak out. I mean, like, they wanted to pull all their money, and I was like, it just, we got systems in place. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. But the fact that, like, even here, I remember when we kind of got back above this 6K, when we reclaimed that, everyone thought, Bitcoin's about to go absolutely parabolic again. And people were shocked when we got shut down at 14K there. But yeah, look at that. That's the 618. I know I prefer the 786, but the 618 is rejected quite well in certain situations, much like these bear markets. And before we start our bull markets, you can see that that's always where we seem to get a harsh rejection before anything. It seems to be that once we reclaim that and we flip that into support, I mean, that's obviously where the bull market just went nuts. Same with back here. As soon as we actually reclaim that 618, that's where it went absolutely nuts. So I think it makes a lot of sense that if we do reclaim this level, everyone's going to get way too bullish too quickly, and we're going to see a harsh rejection around this level. That's obviously just a theory at this point, but just be cautious of that.
Yeah. Well, listen, if I were to catch a run like that, I would just be... It could reject all it wants off of that. If Bitcoin doubles, over the next 6 months on a run like that, that would be incredible.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of trades to be taken between now and the next parabola. So these are just some important levels that I want to put on your guys' radar, because I think that people are gonna, and you know what, I hope I go back and watch this, because I'm probably gonna get so much FOMO when we start trading up there. I'm human just like everyone.
I got a question. Assuming the zombies come and the apocalypse and Armageddon, or whatever you want to call it, and say we go into full capitulation, Do you think we go down to the COVID low? Because that was capitulation across the board, and the FOMO low was what, 5,800 or something like that.
Um,
You think if we wake up one day we get one of those?
Black Swan event kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously anything can happen. Like I
So I guess
never
the real question is, where do you think the bottom would be if that happens? Do you think it would be all the way to the COVID low, or do you think it would grab a stop somewhere in there,
I
like at
think it'll
12K
be
or 10K?
I think 10K is the absolute lowest we see. Let me just
But a
mark.
couple years ago, the absolute lowest was, the pain, the pain threshold was, I think it was 5,800. You got your chart out right there. I think it was like 5,800.
After when we dumped from COVID, I actually have closer to 3,900.
3,900. Oh, you got a wick all the way down there.
Yeah,
Holy
that
smokes,
would
let me
be
check.
on Bitstamp. I don't know if every chart had that, but that's what I got on this one. But that being said, I think our absolute bottom would be 10K because, for one, our bear markets, they always love to get these 85% corrections. Where is the bottom here?
Oh
Basically
yeah.
down to there, basically
Yeah, I got.
85%.
I marked my COVID low at 4,800, but I actually do have a wick that goes all the way down to 3,900.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then here, this would just be another bear market with that classic 85% correction. And I really don't think I personally feel like anything that happens in the economy, just like, you know what, there's always a reason why this could be different, but there's always someone on the sidelines who has very deep pockets and orders set and that kind of thing. I really don't see this bear market going more than 85% to the downside. As well, there is a lot of structure in the chart here. Obviously, we had a bunch of resistance here. We had support here. We had this resistance. So I think there's a lot of confluence at that level as well. Again, just going to my favorite tool, my Fibonacci. That kind of lines up with the 886 as well. So if we do happen to drop the 786, I could see us making it to the 886. That happens quite often. Quite often in smaller time frames, you'll see candle bodies respect the 786, but they'll wick to the 886. And I think if we had an absolute market shit your pants kind of a sell off, I don't really see us going past 10K. The only difference would be that, you know what, there is a lot of leverage in the markets, and leverage could create some sort of a crazy capitulation wick, just like an order book clearing type of scenario where, yeah, you might get something crazy happen, but I would expect 10K to hold if we were to, for some reason, drop back to that level. If it doesn't, I don't know what I feel about these charts period anymore. I would be a little concerned about the health of Bitcoin moving forward.
Well,
That
I mean, I think if it ever got down to, I think all stocks would go down like that.
Yeah, like
You
I
know,
think that's a market changing structure kind of a thing where there's a big shift happening. Like I don't know. Obviously anything can happen, and like I said, especially with leverage and stuff. But yeah, I'd be a little concerned if Bitcoin did drop below 10K. To be honest, maybe we'll fill that 9K CME gap that everyone was waiting for over here and wouldn't buy in because we only got within like $40 of a CME gap or something, and a whole bunch of people were saying, "Oh no, we have to go lower because this gap hasn't filled, and it always does." Well, they missed an entire bull market because of $40.
yeah.
But yeah, maybe we drop and fill that gap. Maybe they'll get their wish finally, just like 5 years late.
I'm always leery of like back in that all-time market high. I think it was like, what was that, June, July of 17, 18? Am I getting the year wrong?
Uh,
Um, I
December 2017, this one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, like the market cap back then was what, 40 billion or something like that at the peak. And
Yeah, I can't
it,
remember.
it's like a totally different animal It was a puppy back then, and now it's now Bitcoin is, well, it was like a trillion. I don't know what the market cap is right now, but
Yeah, honestly, I don't either.
but it, it,
It's high though. I know it was in the. I know it was more than 2 trillion at a time.
right. I mean, but
The
the
thing to
market cap is so much bigger right now. It's like,
yeah, you're right. One thing to consider about that, and with the whole like this market cycle's different and stuff, and yeah, that would actually contribute to like market cycles taking longer and that kind of thing. But the same thing could be said about this market cap compared to this market cap, right? I mean, at this point, people were probably saying like, well, it's a totally different game now, but the chart patterns and everything, just market structure, it all kind of played out the same, right? Um,
yeah, right. Do you put much? I never even heard of it before, but it was all the rage. What, a month ago? A little bit more than a month ago. The pi cycle.
oh yes, yes.
Do you
I
put much?
think I just
I've actually never heard of that before.
I have, and if I remember correctly, it nailed the top of this bull market. I'm
It
pretty sure it did, and I
Well,
see that
it
that was
nailed all the
another.
previous bottoms, and we've already put in the pi cycle like a month ago, 6 weeks ago, or something like that.
Yeah, and that's right around the time we're trading at our market cycle lows, and that's actually something that I should have brought up that I forgot about. Thanks for reminding me. That would be another very bullish indication, in my opinion. I haven't looked at it much, but I did see it come up, and I think someone posted it on Twitter or something like that. Um,
I never heard of
Definitely
it.
worth considering as a very bullish factor.
Yeah, MDX made a post about it, or a Twitter or
Oh, did he?
something.
Oh, I must have
Yeah,
missed that
and
one.
I was like, I've never even heard of this thing before,
Yeah,
and
I have heard about it. I heard about it first when people were saying it was gonna, like, when they were watching it as resistance at the all-time high, and I was like, screw this thing. I know better than this thing. Well, that'll learn me. But yeah, I would throw that right up there with all these other very bullish indications that I'm going to consider anyways, like the RSI, these couple things that it's done, the pi cycle, the 786 fib right here. We got RSI bullish divergence on the weekly time frame, on the daily time frame. We got the ALGO 3 claiming bullish divergences. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it just seems like there's a lot of indications pointing to a potential upside move in the, like these are long time frames, but I just think Bitcoin's in an okay spot. I got to bring up that pi cycle chart later and take a look at that. So I got to get familiar with that one. I haven't really looked at it myself.
yeah, I went I did a deep dive into it as far as the math behind it, and I'm not really sure why they exactly selected a lot of the things that they did as far as but it seems to fit the last cycles over the years. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see if it nails it again, because yeah, it sure shut me up at the when the bear market started. You know what? I'll take it serious next time, I guess. Here.
yeah, bad. Um, when you're looking at these weekly time frames, I mean, oh yeah, man, but there's still a ton of downside still if you're looking at it like a weekly time frame, or
Oh,
even a daily,
exactly.
or even a 4 hour. A 4 hour time frame can play out over days.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, that's something to consider, when I'm making videos posting my super bullish analysis when it's on a macro trend like that. I mean, obviously, when I'm saying I think the bottom's in, that doesn't mean do a 50x long kind of a trade blindly, right?
Oh yeah, no, no, I don't actually even own a lot of Bitcoin. I prefer to just day trade, scalp and day trade.
Oh, yeah, 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 whatever you're comfortable with, right?
Yeah, I just I don't know. I saw this guy say it's going to go to zero one time. So I just don't own a lot of it.
Yeah, that just stuck with you. Hey? Yeah, well, I mean, fair enough. And you know what? Although I don't agree with him that it will, it could. Anything can happen, right? I've been
Listen,
wrong once.
it could get up to $1 trillion, and then whoever so many people claim to have you know whoever actually wrote it could just do a big ha ha, and just at the last halving, the blockchain just like melts in front of us, and
Yeah.
who knows what's buried in all that
Well, the good
nonsense.
news is the last halving will, I assume most of us will be dead by then.
Yeah, yeah, I will be.
Yeah,
I,
I don't plan on making it that far anyways. My lifestyle won't allow that.
Man,
Yeah.
I feel like I need to come up with some really great questions, because I feel like I got a good resource here to help me out.
Oh, thanks.
What you look at DXY, we all do, but I also look at the Russell and the Nasdaq and the Dow and
Oh
the
yeah.
S&P. Do you look at any other indexes, and is
Um,
there any other indexes that you think are really pegged to Bitcoin?
Obviously the S&P 500. I start to confuse myself if I look at too many things. Like it's good to have a bit of a ballpark, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I haven't actually looked at these in quite a while here. I guess since my last video doing this. Yeah, like one thing that I don't like about this is I would have loved to see, we got this, even if we want to call this obviously very rushed here. Let's flip to a better chart. We did have this kind of resist support zone right here that
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah.
SPX was kind of, it got back above, but then, it's forming, it almost looks like a bit of a head and shoulders. Like that doesn't look great, in my opinion. Um, it's just totally freestyle in here. Let's see what we can come up with. It is getting close to 786. You obviously know I fucking love that zone. Um, what else do we got here? We have the indicator, the oscillator 5 is claiming that we might be getting near a bottom here. We did have this bullish divergence back here, which did play out nicely. That would have triggered right at the bottom here. That was nice. What's the algo thing saying?
Sometimes when I see the DJI or the Russell, when I see all of them like in overbought, even if Bitcoin's not, sometimes I'm like, okay, it's going to turn, because it's going to
Yeah.
turn with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I should look at those charts more than I do, to be quite honest. I think there's absolutely a super tight correlation. Um, I just find that I just get sidetracked and I just end up flipping back to the Bitcoin chart.
Yeah, I kind of did, because I've only really started trading crypto since the lockdown started.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
Oh, that's a good use of your time. Better than
yeah,
arguing.
yeah, no, I thought I thought crypto was a joke before that.
Yeah.
But the but going back, it's nice how it's so pegged to some of these big indexes, and these big these big indicator funds and stocks,
Oh yeah,
which
like
it
just
used to not be that way.
yeah, the big boy markets, we'll call them,
Yeah,
where real money is, and that's what also makes me think, like I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere. There's way too big of players involved at this point. There's way too much money behind it. I think it was Kevin O'Leary actually said like, oh, when this thing hits like $1 billion total market cap, like it's not going anywhere after that. Well, we've gone up 2,000 times since then. So I
oh yeah.
mean, like it's a big market. There's real players. And the fact that it follows traditional markets so well, like I think that just all bodes well for
Oh,
Bitcoin.
I
That
actually
being
love,
said, I don't
love
think
your.
it's the kind of thing where it's absolutely gonna, flip the world and that's gonna be the global reserve and it's gonna be Bitcoin or nothing. Like I think it's just gonna coincide with regular markets. It's gonna have its place. I truly didn't appreciate it until I used it for working with people internationally. And, you know, when it would take 3 weeks to get money and a pain in the ass to get it when I was using fiat currencies. And then someone offered to send me Bitcoin one day and I had it in 2 or 3 minutes. I was like, oh my God, this is game changing. Like we need this as well, right? Yeah, it looks. What do we got here on the S&P 500? I guess a bit of a broadening wedge. I wouldn't want to see the bottom of that wedge again. There we go. Yeah, bit of support coming up potentially. I don't have my RSI up here, but again, the indicator kind of claiming a potential bottom here. I would be interested to see some sort of a bullish divergence form on the S&P 500 here as it ended up retesting this box here. The problem with that is I think if it takes a dip to these levels, I mean, Bitcoin's already kind of at these levels on its own chart, so I don't know what would happen. Maybe it would all of a sudden depeg and it would do its own thing. I don't know. Generally, it sticks with it pretty closely, so curious to see what happens there. Does anyone have any altcoin requests, by the way? Never did ask earlier. You can type them into the chat or you can talk on the mic or whatever here.
Well, Cosmos, Adam's been on quite the tear since June.
Ah, yes, Adam. I believe we checked this out. The last 2 streams, I think. And yes, it was on a tear, wasn't it? Oh, that's a decent little pullback, though.
Right. I guess it's been due. I've been...
Here, let's just do a little bit of freestyle in here. I mean, it got very close to that old resistance box that I mapped out on the previous stream, apparently. What else do we got going on here? I would kind of be looking at what time frame am I on here? Oh, this is a daily chart. I'd kind of be looking at, support could be a ways down yet. Like just looking at how the higher high and higher low structure is played out. Like really, this was our previous high, so our support is kind of like down there. The good news with that is it obviously has a lot of room to find support. Let's just see if I can find some sort of a diagonal trend line. Might see something off that. I don't like to cut through price with my trend lines. I like to go like very bottom of wick to very bottom of wick kind of a thing. So I think that Adam could absolutely find support along this line if it were to touch it a third time. As you guys know, I don't like if a trend line were touched a third time and then broken and respected from the opposite direction. That wouldn't be good for Adam. But yeah, right now I think it would be set even if it does correct quite a ways here. I mean, it does technically have this support line here. Let's zoom in a little bit because nobody wants to see a daily. We want to see the degen levels, right? I personally think that it might take a little bit of a correction here just from that, because you know what? We do have our 1, 2, and I'm going to consider that little green candle. That can be our third touch point, and then we broke down below and even got this bit of a respect flip kind of a thing. That being said, it's not dumping hard, so maybe the bears aren't going to pull the trigger on this, but just from this structure, I would say that even if it gets a little bit of a bounce here, I would be interested to see if this old support line flipped into resistance. Let's see, how are we doing for fib levels?
Hey, Stu, it was really great talking with you. Thank you very much for the insights. I got to jump off now. I actually got to jump in my own thing here.
Oh, no. Thanks so much for tuning in and getting your input. That's great. I love talking crypto with people. My friends don't enough. So, yeah, it's great. Love the input.
All right. Awesome, man. Thank you so much. And keep posting in the Bitcoin channel. I love reading your posts.
Yeah, you too, man.
All right. Later, dude.
Later.
Yep.
I guess something I should ask, do you guys have any other questions about the indicators specifically? I mean, that is one of the reasons we're here. If you have any questions about, I don't know, changing colors or what certain things mean on the indicators, anything like that. Check XRP. I can check XRP. All right, let's... You know, that's a nice little W, actually. Indicators. I gotta get my RSI here. I don't like the way it looks. Someone the other day was asking me how I set up my RSI here. Just very quickly. Something like that. You know what? I fucking hate to say this, but XRP actually looks pretty good to me. Thumb case, I personally don't use the MACD. I have before. I just haven't in a long time, and I don't think I understand it enough to give good insight on that. It's basically like the RSI, I think, like, except when you start getting crosses, like if you see it's in oversold territory, for example, and you start to see a harsh recovery where the lines are gonna cross with some momentum, obviously, like that's a good sign. So you still get those golden and death cross kind of scenarios that you get with moving averages and stuff. But other than that, I don't really know a whole bunch about it. Yeah, guys, obviously this is a weekly chart, so like that's not where we're actually looking for a short or anything. I just like to start my analysis out far and zoom in. So we're going to start on the weekly. Is technically a bit of a resistance box here, just showing this lower high here I'm going to consider since it is such a large time frame. Really, I could even probably bring that up a little bit, but I'll leave it for now. What do we have on the RSI here? RSI is getting near overbought conditions, but there's no divergence or anything like that. I personally usually like to look for rejection before I would enter a short, so I'd want to see like a double top sort of a situation. 4 hour, like we're kind of trading right up into resistance, right? I mean, our resistance is basically right up to there. But as far as just like this very micro trend, I mean, you can see that it has broke above these highs here. So, I mean, we should have a higher low here. So if XRP were to maintain above this level for now, I mean, that could be in a pretty good spot. Let's just try and find some random lines here. Again, that's a 4 hour. Let's zoom right into a 15. This is more my style. Like the kind of ideal short scenario for me is if, you know what, we end up having this upward sloping trend line, we get our third touch point, we end up breaking down below it, and then kind of this line, it's hard to say if it would actually happen because it's actually not sloping straight up very much. But I like to see where we'd get an upward sloping support line flip into resistance and line up with horizontal resistance if we got some sort of a double or triple top, as well as a kind of a trend line meeting up. This trend line isn't exactly a good example. Let's see if I can find anything. Let's just see. Hourly. Yeah, see the fact we got above this high here. Actually closing bodies above that level. So right now I would say that, you know, our higher low as far as a 1 hour chart here, we'd be looking at wanting to stay above 37 cents if you wanted to be bullish. If you want to be bearish, I mean, yes, we do actually have this bit of a double top bearish divergence. it's a very small one, but we did test this box twice, and we do have a bearish divergence on the RSI. The oscillator 5 is showing that we're a little bit overbought. It looks like we're starting to kind of correct a little bit. The thing about that I want to point out, though, which be cautious about this if you are looking to short XRP, is these long signals are setting higher lows. So even if we get a short signal up here, I'd be a little hesitant just because it's higher than the one previous. So quite often what I like about the ALGO 3 indicator is that it kind of points out the trend a little bit better for me. Sometimes it's just easy to see these big in-your-face signals like, oh, hey, they're clearly going to the upside, and it helps you kind of pick a direction for playing it. This is pretty aggressive for this moving average support line of the long indicator to be heading upwards. So that might actually have some momentum to it, especially if it ends up getting towards this box where this resistance would flip into support potentially. But yeah, again, there's kind of signs from both on this one. Like I said, it's overbought on the oscillator 5, bearish divergence on the RSI. But it does have that bit of momentum to the upside. So just be cautious, I would say. I'm actually surprised how well XRP is doing right now. But I guess quite often it does kind of do the reverse thing of Bitcoin. Almost like the DXY, to be honest. Thumbcase, I personally don't use the Fibonacci candles. They can definitely... It's all preference, obviously. It can really help you spot a trend better as well, kind of like what I was just talking about. But one thing that I don't like about them is I really rely on kind of where candle bodies are closing and that kind of thing when I'm looking for the way I play double bottoms, double tops, and trend lines and that sort of thing. So I just haven't done any back testing with it, and I don't know how my style of analysis would work with it. So I just kind of stick to my own regular candles. Ethereum top of next bull market predictions. Oh boy. USD. Holy shit. One sec, sorry. Okay. Ethereum next cycle, you say. Let's go to a bigger chart. Let's go to Bitstamp. That's always the oldest one that I know of. I don't even know where to begin analyzing this. Let's check if any like Fibonacci extensions work. Oh, this is gonna be... I might have to bring out the logarithmic chart here. This is gonna be totally freestyle. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we get any sort of... I might have to get some bigger fib lines here. Let's just throw some random ones out here. Much bigger ones. Sure. Let's see. Do we even get anything? No, not really. Oh, man. That's a hard one. I don't even know where to start with the prediction. I don't really like to give that far of predictions just because... market cycles, you never really know, I guess. Oh, man, where do I even go with that? I guess my analysis is usually a lot shorter term. Like when I'm trading and stuff, I kind of more care about the immediate term, what's happening. And to predict where it's going, basically I need to see a change in structure, right? Like, how can I show you an example here? So for example, we had our, let's just say once we set this high back here, we had a higher low here, obviously from back here. Once we set a higher high, so let's just say up here, and then we pulled back. We didn't know this was a higher low yet until we actually broke above this high here. But anyways, it did end up breaking above, so we have our higher low here. And then technically, if you really wanted to microanalyze this, you could say that, you know what, we had a pullback. This is our, after we broke above this high here, we confirmed this as our higher low. So we end up trading upwards. But then what happened when we lost that level again? That was a change in structure because we actually broke below our higher low. So that totally changed the structure of the chart. And until that happens, it's kind of hard to predict where it's going to stop, because when bull markets go parabolic, I mean, for those of you who were in the earlier ones, especially, I got in at the very end, but I was watching it while it was good, while the getting was good. Unfortunately, I watched from the sidelines. Things went absolutely ballistic. Like when you thought things were way overextended, all of a sudden they were going up 500% in a day, kind of a thing. So it's kind of hard to predict where things are going to go when they get stupid and irrational, because these markets are driven by basically 100% emotion. So it's kind of hard to say where that's going to happen. I think I have heard before that if you do a Fibonacci extension, quite often the next cycles will go to, like, I think it's like the 400% kind of thing from the previous all-time high. I could be wrong on that. That's just something that I heard, I think, like half a year ago or something, so take it for what it is. I think it would make sense to, I wouldn't be too surprised to see it at least over 10K. Like, I mean, you're going to get probably more than double. I would think actually probably closer to, like, I hate to be a moon boy, but I wouldn't be too surprised to see Ethereum hit 20K, as long as, you know, nothing crazy happened, nothing fundamentally changed with it too drastically. But we're going to have to see. Like I said, that's kind of hard to predict. With it being said, it's not good to make predictions. The best way to make predictions is to learn how to chart and come up with your own vision for the future based on your metrics. Absolutely. Go back to 1 year ago for a lot of crypto YouTubers' predictions, and you'll understand that nobody knows what's going to happen. Man, that is so true. And you know what? I gotta eat my words on that one too. I one time made a video claiming that Bitcoin was gonna hit about 340,000 US dollars last bull market. And I obviously, much like the pi cycle indicator, I got shut the hell up. I was wrong. I still think it can hit those levels. Just I was obviously probably a bull market or two behind on that one. But yeah, I mean, people who are, you see the influencers claiming, you know, 100,000, well, 100,000 wouldn't be unrealistic anymore for the next cycle. But yeah, you start seeing like, oh, Bitcoin to 1 million, Bitcoin to 5 million. I mean, yeah, you know what? Someday that could absolutely happen, but there's a lot of bull markets between now and then. It would be very strange for a bull market to have like a crazy astronomical percentage gain compared to previous cycles, because it takes way more money to move the price now. So it would take such an insane amount of money to actually push Bitcoin towards those levels. Yeah, most of those are just clickbaity titles, obviously. Anyone else have any other altcoin requests or indicator questions or questions about my analysis? If you guys liked my analysis, if you've had fun here, please do me a favor and check out my YouTube channel. It's StuTube Trading, all one word. Yeah, I don't know. I try to make 2 or 3 videos a week kind of a thing. If you liked my analysis about that, my macro analysis, this cheat sheet as I call it, this was a good video. I'm going to try and keep it in all my descriptions. I think that's a very important video, especially if that support does hold. I am going to be a little bit arrogant about this video because I outlined, you hear so many people saying that the bottom's not in and stuff. So if I did call it there, I am going to be pretty pumped because I think there's a lot of bullish analysis there in that video. I do also outline, obviously, the couple of bearish things that are potential as well. We're just playing our odds, right? But Yeah, definitely check out my video if you're not subscribed yet. And also on Twitter, sometimes I don't have time to make a video and I just post random analysis. I like bringing this one up because of how perfect it played, obviously. But yeah, I showed where I took a short here and basically said, hang on to your butts. And yeah, we absolutely just melted right through my first support box and ended up finding support bang on my second. So that played out beautifully. Don't always have time to make a video about that kind of thing, so... How do you... Or sorry, I gotta catch up here. Yeah, exactly, Secret Agent. That's where it's good. You know, like I said, even if we do lose this support level and I'm wrong about it, I'll be totally okay. I'm not gonna panic. I would actually prefer that. Another reason, another bullish factor here is that I don't think I'm lucky enough to buy Bitcoin at 10K again. And that's a reason I don't think it'll happen, because I think that everyone would be way too lucky to get that. I don't think people are going to get those low prices, especially with how bearish social media is and stuff. I mean, it's a lot of the same people who are, you know, telling you to dollar cost average up at 50,000 are now saying, no, don't be stupid. Don't buy in at this level. Wait until 10K. Like, you're stupid if you buy at these levels, but they ignore the fact that they were, you know, every 5% dip before, when we were at all-time highs, they were more than comfortable dollar cost averaging. So they kind of forgot how to average, a lot of those people. And yeah, just that's one of those things, you know, if we drop this level, yes, my leverage trading strategies will change, but I will still absolutely just try to spot buy Bitcoin every chance I can, pretty much. How do you scale into a trade? And yes, Thumbcase, I am on Twitter, StuTube Trading, all one word. Not always on there, but yeah, sometimes I'm posting stuff on there. Nice. Well, thanks for the follow. How do I scale into a trade? That would be... Let's just... Oh, yeah, look at that support box trying to hold right now on the 4 hour. That's the one we were talking about before, that we're holding that downward sloping trend line. Things might not be so bad there. I am tempted to throw in a new long. So basically, if I was looking... This will be a good example. Let's say I wanted to scale into a trade. I wanted to go in a long position. Typically, I would... maybe I'm a little late here because we're not even at the 618 anymore, but the way I love to set trades quite often is I'll set an order by the 786, just a little above, and then same with the 886, and quite often kind of at double bottom territory. So I would just have equal amounts of positions opening on the way down. Obviously, you can't use too high of leverage if you're doing that, because that can get risky real quick. That's more for lower leverage positions, I would say. But yeah, basically I just, whether I was picking support levels or Fibonacci levels, I would just have orders set at all those levels, and then my position will average the price, and it'll say my average entry is at, well, let's just say somewhere in here. Yeah, and that's the thing. I use higher leverage than I should sometimes too. It just makes it a little harder to use certain strategies. I'm not saying using high leverage is wrong. I think it's dangerous, and obviously just make sure that you have proper bankroll management. Make sure you're using a small amount so you know you can be wrong 100 times, kind of a thing. But yeah, that's just one. Let's say it also depends on the size of the move, right? Like if I pulled a fib tool and I wanted to do the same kind of thing, I could just do it on, let's say, a 1 minute or a 5 minute, where maybe the higher leverage is okay because it's obviously a much smaller move, so you might not get liquidated. And again, I am not saying to use that method on the 5 minute or 1 minute or anything. I'm just saying, like, that's an example of how I would scale into a position, I suppose. Yeah, Agent, I love my Fibonacci tools. They are respected very well. Like, I'm just curious, just for my own curiosity here. Yeah, see, again, just kind of getting rejected right between that 618 and 786 fibs. That's exactly where we ended up struggling today. And that's where I like to ladder in positions, right? Like if I was taking a short here, I never did, I missed it. But yeah, if I would take a short, I'd love to, put one kind of right along the 618, right in the middle, and at the 786. And you know what? If my average entry ended up somewhere in this pocket, generally it's, quite often a good level to end up sniping an entry. I at least consider those fibs and that pocket very heavily when I want to enter a position. I do not use ABCD waves. I just don't, I guess. I like to keep my charting pretty simple. I just basically draw shapes, see how they're respected. I just wouldn't want to teach you the wrong way to use them or anything like that, so I don't want to bring those up. Yeah, any other questions? I'll see what you guys are saying. We are over an hour now, so thinking about wrapping up fairly soon. I'm getting pretty hungry here. But any last minute questions? I'm absolutely here. I also like. Yeah, sounds like you use the same stuff as me. Fibs and RSI, I love them. And now, obviously, I love the ALGO 3 and the Oscillator 5. But those are pretty much... Yeah, those would be the only things I really use. I don't even use volume. Moving averages, I should probably look at them more than I do. I don't look at them too often, other than I have kind of been keeping my eye on the 200-week moving average. That's something I want to point out as a potential bearish sign, you guys, actually, while I have you here, is you can see that Bitcoin is struggling with the 200-week moving average as resistance. I was under the impression that when we reclaim this moving average, we were going to absolutely explode, just because, I mean, if you look in Bitcoin's history, yes, we went below it here. We got that scam wick down, but that was that black swan event. That was COVID. I also don't think we would have dropped this blue box had it not been for COVID. And in fact, the 200-week moving average would have lined up perfectly with that box. I think we absolutely would have stopped right at around 5,600 and found support there had it not been for that black swan event. But either way, as soon as we reclaimed that moving average on the weekly time frame here, you can see what happened. Same with the very bottom of the previous bear market, right around 3K. We formed that double bottom on the weekly along that. And on top of that, way back to basically when there was finally enough data for Bitcoin to have a 200-week moving average. You can see that kind of as soon as we got above it, that's when it really started to take off again. So I can't really discredit that. Usually we end up reclaiming it. We haven't really traded below it for such a long time before, so there is that to consider. But I think if we were to get back above it, especially after setting this double bottom on a weekly time frame and all those other bullish reasons I said, I think if we were to get above that 200-week moving average now, I think we'll respect it as support a little better. But again, I just can't discredit that. It is currently resistance, so at least be cautious of that. And yeah, absolutely. Like you said, the MDX algos are for confirmation for you. You keep them turned off. I honestly usually do that as well. For one, it kind of clutters the charts. You got a lot of colors going on. But yeah, I don't like to just obviously take every long signal, every short signal totally blind. I always want my own analysis and then see those signals come into play. So yeah, like you said, confirmation. And sentiment, yep, absolutely. I'd say sentiment is important. And that's one thing to consider is quite often across social media lately, I'm seeing way more engagement on bearish people's posts. people who are saying that we're going to nuke to 10K and stuff like that, a lot of those are getting more engagements even when they have smaller followings than some of the people posting bullish scenarios. And that's very backwards for crypto. Usually everyone wants to be a moon boy. So that's just another reason I'm not so sure we're going to get that last dump. Again, my analysis will change drastically, as will my leverage trading strategies if we drop this green box and flip it into resistance. That changes everything for me, so I will... I should even do a stream of writing down my words and eating them if that happens, because I would be so wrong. The CBBI, is that on like the MDX ALGO website? I should have actually had that up here. I don't really like how long Binance is right now, to be honest. That is a bit of a nuke waiting to happen. Usually you wouldn't see that many degenerates on Binance being right. Obviously anything can happen, but that's something we got to consider right now from a bearish standpoint. Heavily long in the market. Does the price on Bybit lag behind the Bitcoin price for everybody? Are you referring to just if you're watching it on my screen? There might be a little bit of lag there. I'm not sure. I've never noticed a significant lag compared to other exchanges. There might be a bit of a lag on my stream here. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, thanks for sharing that article there. I'll have to check that out when I wrap up here. Oh, when I'm trading that the price is different? I'm not too sure. I've never noticed the... Oh, that... Yeah, I mean, across different exchanges, you'll randomly the prices can vary. I know one of my good buddies trades on Binance, and I trade on Bybit, and quite often the prices will vary a little bit. Like we'll compare where it wicked to and stuff like that, and quite often it'll be a little bit different too. Yeah, right now, like I'm looking at Bybit on TradeView. See, I'm on the BTC USD perpetual contract, 15-minute Bybit. BTC USD, and it should come up. Oh, yeah, that could affect your entries as well if you're looking at the wrong price. No, you can absolutely go to Bybit. That shouldn't be an issue. All right, guys. Like I said, I am getting hungry, so I think I'm going to wrap this up. I also wanted to take a look at possibly buying a little bit of that Palm swap that MDX was talking about earlier. To be honest, I am a total Binance Smart Chain virgin. I've never used it, so I have to look into how to do that. I assume it's fairly easy, like just adding a network on your MetaMask and throwing BNB instead of Ethereum on there. I could be wrong, but yeah, I'm going to look into that, watch a couple of YouTube videos and stuff, so I want to check into that since I think the fair launch, the pre-sale, is like another 2 days or something. And my girlfriend actually gets back tomorrow from a trip she was on, so yeah, I'm going to be busy. I'm going to try and get that sorted tonight, so I think I'm going to wrap up there. But yeah, Thanks a ton, guys, for tuning in. We had a good turnout today. There was a lot of people in here. That's great to see that there is actually interest here. I love doing it. As I said, I don't get to talk crypto enough, so we'll keep posting in the group chats there. I'll probably do another one this weekend. I was thinking Saturday or Sunday I'll try and do one. Kind of trying to do 2 a week or something like that, but obviously sometimes busy. But that's the plan for now anyways. I'll keep you guys posted though. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you appreciate it, again, check out my YouTube. I have been getting a lot of subscribers from you guys, and that's super cool. I really appreciate it. It's great to see that you guys like my stuff. So, yeah, we'll keep in touch, fellas. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.